What's going on, guys? Gherkin here. This is going to be the second of the two Overpower 8 sniper rifle videos for Borderlands 2. The first video were kind of my more favourite ones. That was the Skullmasher, the Longbow, and the Lyuda, or the White Death, depending on what platform you're playing on. This one's going to be the Volcano, the Invader, and the Pitchfork. I'm not going to lie, these are kind of like my least three favourite. The first video I kind of chucked it all in my favourite ones. I would go as far as saying these are kind of like the reject legendary snipers, but I know a couple of people might get mad at me about at least one or two of these. But anyway, the first one is the Volcano. This is a very common drop from the Warrior, especially on the storyline mission. I said in the conference call video, if you farm the Warrior on the storyline mission, which you can do just by not saving and quitting each time. As long as you've got someone else with you, you can just keep putting the guns onto them. It will drop very, very commonly. It tends to just alternate between the conference call, a couple of grenade mods, and the Volcano. We had a lot of Volcanoes drop when we were farming for the conference call. As snipers go, not a huge base damage, just over 600,000. And the kind of gimmick with this sniper, so to speak, is when you fire, it releases a kind of incendiary cloud. This is always a fire sniper rifle, and the cloud, supposedly, if anything gets caught in it, it gets 80% of the base damage done to it, and has a chance of being set on fire. And the fire can supposedly spread between enemies. I've had a lot of trouble actually doing this. And that fire damage can spread between enemies, kind of like a little infection effect, which some guns in this game do. I think the infection pistol does. The corrosive T-Pot I know does, which you get from Tiny Tina. But otherwise, I'm not a massive fan of the sniper. It's got a really small clip size. It's very accurate, and you can fire it quite fast, but the clip size is tiny. And one thing I did read about before trying this sniper out is occasionally there is a glitch in which the elemental damage gets reduced to 1 damage per second, which I read was occasional. It actually happened a lot more often than I would have thought. You can definitely see it a couple of times during this footage. And that happened so often, it was kind of being rendered useless, and I couldn't get the infection thing to work. I couldn't get the fire damage to really spread. I wasn't really noticing the cloud effect either. So overall, I'm kind of giving this a bit of a thumbs down. I got quite a lot of damage up on it, just using slag and B shield and money shot. Against flesh enemies, obviously fire is always good, but the upsides of the sniper are meant to be that infection effect and the fire damage, and considering the kind of spread effect doesn't work and the fire damage gets reduced to 1 so often, both this gun's kind of upsides are effectively nullified a lot of the time, so not a great one I would have thought, but definitely easy to farm if you want it. Next is the Invader, and I'm afraid things are going from bad to worse. I can really barely think of anything good to say about this sniper. It's a burst fire Hyperion, which is a weird one anyway. Burst fire is obviously usually dull. And the point of this is that the burst gets more accurate as it goes on, but to me this is completely the wrong way around. If you want to burst fire a sniper, it's going to be the first bullet you really intend to hit with, and the others are a bonus. You're not going to time it so you hit with the last bullet, so having the first bullet as the least accurate to me doesn't really make any sense. Also, because it fires 5 bullets at a time and each bullet counts for 1 unit of ammo, unlike the Skullmasher, which fires 5 for the price of 1, you're going to burn through ammo very quickly, and you're going to need to reload very quickly, because despite being a 5-burst sniper rifle, it's still got a very small clip size on it. It's got 13 bullets in a clip, I think, which means... oh, sorry, 16, so 3 bursts and then 1 extra random bullet at the end, which is a little bit strange to me, and to be honest, it's just not very powerful. If you can hit all the projectiles, maybe you can start doing some damage. I thought I tried it out against some loaders, because the one I've got is corrosive. By the way, it can be any elemental, but the one I thought was corrosive, and I wasn't getting much damage on the training dummy, so I thought, fine, I'll give it a chance. And I went and found some loaders and tried it out, and it didn't go well. to be honest, I had to reload so often that the general kind of health regen on enemies by the time you get to Ultimate Vault Hunter and 72 and all that was so much that at the time I was reloading, they were pretty much getting most of their health back. One thing it might be good for, just because you can put down so many projectiles at once, is building up critical hit stacks if you're playing as the assassin. But other than that, I don't think you're going to be able to get much damage down with this. And to farm it, it drops off Saturn. So it's not even an easy one to farm. And I've heard of people like trying for ages to get this sniper rifle. Maybe I'm missing something, but I just don't really see the appeal. You can fire a lot at once, but because it's got such reduced damage, you're not really going to be doing much, the Skull Masher has a really reduced base damage, but you're firing 5 projectiles for the price of 1 each time, so it actually ends up quite a lot if you hit with all of them. This one, even if you hit with all of them, you're not going to be doing that much damage anyway. So, I don't know. I honestly, I can't, unless I'm missing something really obvious. Maybe it's good for assassin classes, I don't know, but I really couldn't really put this to much use, and it seemed to be anything but legendary, in my opinion. But anyway, on to the last one, and that's the pitchfork, and unfortunately this is the Overpower 7 one, and if anything, I would have loved this one to be Overpower 8. As I said, I've got all 6 legendary snipers, but 2 of them have dropped Overpower 7. And I would have loved this one to be Overpower 8, because I think this has got probably the most potential out of these 3 by far. I would have loved Flame one. They come in all elemental. And I would have loved a Fire one, because I reckon that could do a lot of damage against flesh enemies. As it turned out, we got a Slag one. And this fires 5 bullets at once in a kind of V shape horizontally. When zoomed, it will burst 5. And each time we fire, it consumes 2 ammo, so you're getting 5 shots for the price of 2, and if you're firing down scope, you'll be firing 25 projectiles at once, which isn't bad. I mean, that's 5 times 2, you're using up 10 ammo per burst, but you're firing a lot of projectiles at once. It's a high damage output, and something like the B shield, which is going to add on to every single projectile you fire, you could possibly do quite a lot of damage, especially against large enemies. Against Terramorphous, against raid bosses, you could possibly put out quite a lot of damage on them, especially if you get an Incendiary one on a fleshy enemy. This one's good because you can slag pretty much everything. That's the other thing. It's got a really high elemental effect chance, and because you're putting out so many projectiles, you're pretty much guaranteed to get the elemental effect. So, unfortunately, because this is Overpower 7 and slag, I wasn't really able to kind of really test out the amount of damage it has. But I'd certainly recommend trying to get your hands on one if you can. The only problem is it drops from Terramorphous, and we have had 0 luck of anything dropping from Terramorphous ever. It's no exaggeration when I say we have never had a legendary weapon drop from Terramorphous. I don't know if we're just incredibly unlucky with that. We only seem to get his guaranteed class mod drop every single time. Well, obviously, occasionally we'll get a Hide of Terramorphous shield, but we've never had a weapon drop. And we got this from Loot Midget actually, and that's why I hadn't really managed to be able to go back and kind of try and farm for an Overpower 8 one, is because I can't really farm Terramorphous for it, easily and reliably, so it just never seems to drop it, and you can't really decide what the Loot Midgets drop. But definitely an interesting one. I kind of tried using it as a dual wield, obviously because I'm gunzerking at this level. It's not an easy one for me to really try out. I mean, snipers are mainly for the assassin class. And I would reckon for an assassin, this is probably the best out of the 3. If you can get it at your current level, even at Overpower 8, and possibly a more useful element. I know slag is good, but I think for a sniper, if you're getting those criticals with a complementary element, as I always say, flame on flesh, then I reckon you can put down a lot of damage, especially being amped by a B shield or something. It's a bit of a shame on that one. Anyway, I'm going to keep making these weapon-themed videos. If there's a certain category of weapons anyone wants to see specifically, then give me a shout. I think I've got all the assault rifles. I've definitely got all the SMGs. I've got all the shields apart from one, but that's the Fabled Tortoise, and that shield just sucks. So. But if there's anything specific anyone wants to see, then just leave a comment, obviously. Otherwise, I'm just going to kind of keep making them willy-nilly. But yeah, okay. Otherwise, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.